Nick and Dave Deep Dive the Metaverse, a podcast exploring cult classics, subculture, and geek media. I'm Nick.
And I'm Dave.
And we will be your tour guides for this bit of a hybrid concept episode. It's a deep dive of the Blackened Mantle fan edit of the Star Wars prequels and our hot takes on parts 1 and 2 of Deborah Chow's sushi western space opera, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Is it really a sushi western?
It's got the samurai and the Western tropes mashed together.
I guess so. Well, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, COVID finally found me. The pandemic didn't go over our house.
Yeah, the plandemic. No, it's a hoax.
Right. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good to have you back. Although I will say to all you divers out there that downloaded and listened to our One Piece episode, thank you. It's doing just as well as the rest of our episodes. There was no dip.
Yeah.
So that's great.
I listened to it. It was actually the first episode I've listened to in a long time. So it was informative. I'm very curious about things like One Piece, things that...
Like devil fruits and stuff?
Yeah, because like the fandoms, are out there and they're very visible, but I don't want to do the legwork of learning all the stuff about it, and reading Wikipedia is boring, so having a subject matter enthusiast like Carrie sit down and talk about it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's just too many fandoms out there. You can't know about them all.
Yeah, but I like to know a little bit. I'm a dabbler, right?
Yeah,
so I like to know a little bit about everything so I can be conversational.
Sounds good. So we've been talking about doing Star Wars prequels or Blackened Mantle or something for a long time.
Yeah.
Kenobi really gave us a good reason because that happens immediately after the prequels.
Well, 10 years after.
Well, before A New Hope.
Right. And yeah, ever since we did our deep dive of the Hobbit fan edit, which really gave us a way to love those movies, which is what we want as fans. We've been kind of hoping that the Blackened Mantle could do that for the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, and I just want to go on record to say that I really did not like the prequel movies at all. I mean, I think that the third one might have been the most enjoyable just because it had one of the best lightsaber fights out there, the Anakin and Obi-Wan fight. And it's just... The first movie, I couldn't stand all of the child Anakin plot lines and the pod race, and then the whole deal with the all the Naboo stuff that happened with the bigger fish scene and all of the Jar Jar stuff and all of the droid wars with the fish guys and whatever. It's just like forgettable nonsense.
Yeah, Phantom Menace is a tough sit for me. All the way up until where this fan edit starts, which is the duel with Darth Maul. All the way up until that scene, that's a tough sit. Attack of the Clones, I like about half of it.
Yeah.
And maybe 2/3 of Revenge of the Sith. But there's stuff that I would chop out of all three of those.
Yeah,
movies.
they get successively better.
It's weird. I've probably never put more time into trying to like movies that I don't like than these three movies.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when they came out because we were young, and the special edition versions with the digital enhancements of the original trilogy had come out, and saw those in the theater, and everyone liked them. There were the critics of the new things that got added in and whatnot, but whatever. There's always...
I'm a purist about the original trilogy too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were improved on, but it was nice to see them in a theater.
Yes, that's true.
And then these came out, and everybody just had this giant like Star Wars boner, and they were just ready to go. And then Phantom Menace, you're like, oh, Darth Maul, he's got a double-ended lightsaber, he's so badass. And then the movie just spends all this time with this little boy who's a bad actor, and it's just like terrible about a pod race, and you have no investment, and it's just like, we want to see Jedis. Also, I want to go on record, and this came directly from Carrie, but I fully endorse this idea. Fuck Tatooine. Can we get like a better place? And that goes for Kenobi too. I'm just tired of that tired ass desert planet.
It is. I have that.
It's fucked out, dude. I'm just tired of it.
I have it in my notes for Kenobi that Tatooine is like, it's in the Outer Rim. It is a total backwater.
It's the least obscure, totally obscure place ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because it's a hub for crime because the Hutts have a big presence there, and so
give us a
Spice runs
a thing on Hutta,
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. There's only just the one Hutt that's out there. It's not like the whole family is there. But we're already getting into the weeds of Star Wars lore and stuff.
That's what this episode is. This is the Star Wars episode.
Yeah, let's try to keep it under 6 hours. I think we can accomplish that.
We can make that happen. So, I guess this is our nod to the prequels and the beginning of Kenobi. Do you know how many episodes Kenobi is supposed to be?
Kenobi, I believe, is 6 episodes long.
And is it a one and done, or are they going to do another season?
I would say that it was only announced as a single season, but it seems like as of yesterday, Ewan McGregor is fishing on Twitter for a second season.
Okay,
because he said, he was thankful for the good response to episodes 1 and 2, and he knows people are going to enjoy the rest of the 6, and then hopefully 7, 8, and 9, implying he'd like to do more of this. So,
yeah, I mean, I think he's great. I'm a big fan of his.
Definitely.
He's my Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, no disrespect to Alec Guinness, but Ewan definitely has a lot more time in the role.
Yeah. All right, so let's roll for initiative and get into this.
All right.
18, yeah.
Ooh, 5. You go first.
All right, so this month's a little thin on news, but I got a few media things.
Okay.
Willow returns for a TV series. Of course, I had to mention that because I love Willow. I'm a big Val Kilmer fan. He doesn't seem like he'll be in this, but we do get Warwick Davis.
Yeah,
there was some discussion of Mad Mardigan being part of it somehow, but
his daughter is one of the group. And I think he is going to appear in the series at some point.
Like digitally? No, or are they going to get Val in there even though he can't talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess he makes an appearance in the new Top Gun movie too. So
okay. Just give him a nod.
Yeah, basically he shows up.
Because Iceman's the best part of Top Gun.
Yeah, I've never seen Top Gun.
What?
I know.
It's so good, like for a cheesy, campy, like pro-war, pro-America.
A jigonistic nationalist.
Yeah. If you're into all that.
Yeah. And especially because the new one is out, I've been like...
And that got really good reviews.
It has better reviews than the original.
Yeah.
I need to... I'll watch Top Gun. It's on the list, but we take a lot of time to deep dive things, and it's hard to squeeze in a movie like that.
So Willow's coming out to Disney, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's coming in November.
I love fantasy, and this is one of my childhood favorites. So that's all I got for that.
Okay. Yours kind of butts up nicely with mine because I went all Star Wars for this episode's news because Star Wars Celebration has been going on this weekend.
If you say the Bad Batch season 2, I'm gonna sink your battleship because if season 1 was terrible.
No, it wasn't. You didn't even watch it.
It was bad. I watched half of it and stopped because I don't believe in the sunk cost fallacy. If it sucks, you stop.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, I'll just kind of break this up by the days and we'll go back and forth. So. Day 1 of Star Wars Celebration was Thursday, and that's when they dropped a lot of cool stuff for us. They dropped the trailer for Andor, which is coming August 31st.
I'll watch that.
Willow, like you said, which is coming in November.
Definitely Star Wars content. Why?
Because it's Lucas.
Because it's Disney, it's Lucas. Okay.
Because another thing is they gave us the first image of Indiana Jones 5.
Which nobody was asking for.
I know. Let Harrison Ford rest.
Yeah, we already killed Han Solo. Let's kill Indiana Jones.
Oof. Bold take there. Harrison Ford, he took the stage. John Williams was up there conducting, and they played the Indiana Jones theme, and it was like...
Was he in costume?
No, but he got emotional, and it was moving, I thought.
Okay.
I really didn't like the Crystal Skull, so I'm not super stoked for whatever Indy has next.
Honestly, the first 2 are good, and it's been garbage since then.
You don't like Last Crusade?
Nah, it was mediocre. It was just didn't live up to the hype of the first two.
You chose unwisely.
Pale Shadow.
Last Crusade.
I mean,
those three.
Okay, the third one was all right, but I mean, for sure, number 4 not good.
Was pretty terrible. I really did not like that movie. But that's not. We're here to celebrate.
Okay, we're enthusiasts. We're enthusiasts. 1, 2, 3, and we're great.
And the final thing I have for day 1 of Star Wars Celebration was they announced a show called Skeleton Crew, starring Jude Law, and it's being developed by John Watts. Okay. No one really knew this was coming. And, John Watts is a great director and Jude Law is a great actor. So Disney Plus is just...
what would have been
it's getting us all this Star Wars content.
You could have changed one letter and it would have been 1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Skeletor Crew with Jude Law.
With Jude Law as Skeletor?
Yeah. And it's got him and his dudes, and they're like, it's from their perspective. They're always getting shit on by He-Man. I mean, that would be good.
He really couldn't be Skeletor. There's 2 real definitive Skeletors that
It's a mask. He could pull it off.
Yeah, but both of the other Skeletors are alive.
Okay.
Who could Jude Law be though? Hordak? Could you see that?
I could see that. I could see him. I don't know. He could be Beastman.
That would be unorthodox, but it'd be a mocap thing like Hulk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, what do you got next?
So this is coming out in just a couple days after this episode launches, whatever. The Boys season 3 is coming out June 3rd, and I'm pretty excited for that. The first 2 seasons were really good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed season 2. I mean, season 1 was great just because you're getting introduced to it and stuff. But usually you'll see a little slump in like a season 2. They'll lose their mojo. But no, I thought it was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it. Season 3 is going to be great. They've been doing a lot of hype and stuff, but
I've liked all their teasers and everything.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think that they're really onto something with this series, so I'm into it.
It's painfully, the satire is painfully close to reality. When they have a lot of stuff online, like their VOT News, Fox News parody, and it's just like, it's so close to how, like a pig like Tucker Carlson would handle this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, God. Yeah, the Boys completely won me over. I was a tough sell on that series, but it's really smart. It's not just for shock value. I think it's really good commentary. And I'm with you on that.
The Boys is one of the best superhero. It's probably the best superhero content. I mean, it's hard to know whether I like Homelander better or John Cena.
As Peacemaker?
As Peacemaker. I can't tell which one I like better. Probably Peacemaker, just ever so slightly. But to me, Peacemaker and The Boys are the best superhero content that's
You like people's heads to blow up and stuff
and
like
I just like superheroes that are like real people.
Yeah. I can see that.
I guess that's why in the Marvel universe I like Winter Soldier the best.
He's more down to earth.
Yeah, he's
relatable.
like a real dude.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
All right, what's next?
So Friday, they announced Young Jedi Adventures. It's an animated series set during the High Republic.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, like, you won't watch that. But the High Republic. Do you know, like,
the era fascinates me? Yes.
Yeah,
I am interested in that.
They're really pushing it. There's novels set in that time period. There's comics.
I even looked into buying those novels and like the audiobooks and stuff, but they're all for children. They're not just YA perspective. Their target audience is like a 10-year-old.
Okay.
So I passed on it, but when I heard there was going to be High Republic novels, I was like, I want that. And then I saw it wasn't. I'm not the audience, and that's okay. That you gotta addict them early, right?
Yeah, totally. And there is a High Republic series coming. It's still early on, so there was nothing to show, but it's called The Acolyte. And it's supposed to be kind of inspired by Chinese wuxia type films, like Crouching Tiger, like that style. So I'm all for like Jedis running across treetops and stuff
I
like
want
that.
more original new characters. Tired of recasts, tired of retreads, tired of Tatooine.
Yeah. And so the other big thing on Friday was they surprise dropped a trailer for Jedi Survivor, the sequel to the 2019 game Fallen Order.
Okay.
Which has been very popular. I haven't played it. It
I
looks
haven't
really
either,
cool
yeah.
though. I love the Force Unleashed games, and it looks similar to that. So I will get around to playing it, but a different game has been taking up all my time. So yeah. So what do you got next?
This one's off the wall, and it's just kind of a funny note.
Okay.
Mountain Dew is introducing a new flavor this summer. Pickle flavored Mountain Dew.
Oh,
There's
hot on the tails of Flamin' Hot Mountain Dew.
Yeah, they say it's an homage to the backyard barbecue and people that like to go outdoors and whatnot. I don't know why. I guess you can't make a barbecue sauce flavored Mountain Dew, but I mean, this sounds pretty terrible to me. But I will probably buy a can or a bottle for science. But pickle Mountain Dew, like that sounds crazy to me.
It sounds very Canadian.
Yeah.
You know, like they love their pickled chips.
Vinegar.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. I saw it roll across the news and I was like, man, that's nerdy. I mean, nerds love Mountain Dew, and that's oof. I don't know about that.
Yeah. The Flamin' Hot already kind of lost me on the weird Mountain Dew flavors.
I don't like Flamin' Hot drinks.
It's a tough sell. Like I like Flamin' Hot Cheetos, but I've never thought if someone could liquefy this, I would and like caffeinate it, I would drink that.
Oh yeah.
It just sounds ungodly. But Mountain Dew, they're just coming with the wild flavors. That's what they're doing these days.
I'm up for it.
Okay, so Saturday, this is another big day. The Mandalorian panel was people in attendance, not us on the internet. They got the first look at season 3 of The Mandalorian and a teaser of Ahsoka. But none of this stuff is even. I've not even seen.
Not even cell phone video.
Not even cell phone video. They're tight on this stuff. And they announced Natasha Liu Bordizzo is playing Sabine Wren on Ahsoka. She's a character from Rebels.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this character to show up on Mandalorian, so I'm glad she's somewhere.
Yeah.
And she's sort of like one of the unaccounted for Mandalorians that are out there. I'm just like, there's a show called The Mandalorian. Why haven't you shown her yet?
Yeah, I'm excited for the next season of Mandalorian. I think Boba Fett, the Din Djarin material was amazing, even though the Boba Fett stuff was just okay. So
or bad.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I have a lot more interest in Mando because he's a new character, not a retread or whatnot. It's just a fresh story, and I'm interested in like the recapturing of the Mandalore and all this stuff. It just seems fun.
Yeah, and I'm interested. I'd like to see more of the characters we've seen in the animated series, them coming over, because really, for a lot of times, and I know like you haven't watched those shows, and that's fine. A lot of people haven't watched them.
I just know some of the characters from video games.
Yeah,
that make their appearance in all the cell phone games.
It's weird how we all the different avenues for Star Wars. Anyways, I'm just excited for these characters, and I love The Mandalorian, and I'm actually like getting swept up in this Star Wars hype at the moment. And I watched the panels and everything, so I'm super stoked for season 3. And then the final thing from Friday was they announced an animated anthology series called Tales of the Jedi, and this will get your interest. One of the characters is young Count Dooku.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, and so I'm stoked for this. Count Dooku,
and it's an animated series, like
it's like an anthology, so shorts on different characters in parts of their stories that haven't been explored in anything.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I mean, obviously Dooku's my favorite.
And we've never seen Dooku as a Jedi, like before he turns.
Yeah,
and so I always like that, like getting to look back at the people that fell to the dark side and kind of getting that backstory, like how did they get disillusioned? Because the Jedi Order is garbage.
Yeah, the Jedi Order sucks. They're ladder pulling old boy club,
and their rigidity just makes them just totally kind of blind to their weaknesses and everything that was going on around them.
And they like in the prequel trilogy, like they're just complete unwillingness to work with Anakin. Like, bro needed counseling. Why didn't you just like talk to him and like work it out and try to find solutions? Instead, you just shut him down all the time and tell him to get in line.
Yeah, and they basically drive him
to
the dark side.
They push him out.
All right, what do you got next?
I got nothing. So
nothing. Okay.
Do you have anything else?
The final one was Sunday, and the big news on Sunday was the trailer for season 2 of The Bad Batch.
Oh, okay.
Which you already
Which I don't give a shit about. It's a kid's show.
It is a kid's show.
Yeah, that's why I didn't like it. Because it's
definitely a kid's show.
And I'm not so callous and crass as to say that everything must be for me. I'm totally okay with them making kids content that isn't for a guy in his 40s. That's okay. And any, like Star Wars stan that is like, hey, I didn't like that because it was too juvenile or whatever. It's like, fuck off. You got to have kids content for kids, adult content for adults, and that's fine. That's one of my major complaints about the so-called adult content is that it's too kid-friendly. Like some of it's just like, you just don't need some of the cutesy bullshit that they include. You could just make it, you could have your kids stuff, you could have your mainstream big movies like the Skywalker saga or whatever. That should be for everyone.
Right.
And then you should have the adult stuff. Like I think Mando should be an adult-based show. I think Kenobi should be an adult-based show. I don't think we need kids elements in those shows.
Interesting. Okay. I don't think you're wrong, especially in that stuff should definitely exist. Adult content.
We're not talking
Mando's
like
fairly adult. Though.
NC-17. No,
yeah.
just a little bit of rated R. A little bit of.
You don't have to go rated R with lightsabers because there's no blood.
Oh, that's
you
true.
You can cut people's hands off left and right, and it cauterizes the wound. And PG-13.
Yeah, it's just like you kicked a mannequin. Different parts land.
Yeah, it's a good workaround.
All right, so what is our podcast fuel for today?
So our podcast fuel is from Gigantic Brewing in Portland, Oregon, and it's part of the, what did they call it? The Weirdness series or the
Weirdtastic series.
Weirdtastic, yes, that's it. It's the Unipiper Hazy IPA. And this might seem not very Star Wars to people from outside the metro, but the Unipiper is a bit of a local celebrity, and more times than not, when you see him out riding his unicycle, he's wearing a Darth Vader helmet.
Yeah, and if you're not sure what a Unipiper is, it's a unicyclist who plays a bagpipe while riding around, and his bagpipe, the pipes off the top, oftentimes are flaming.
Yeah, he's quite a character. You can hire him out to do parties and stuff.
Yeah,
he's just an interesting dude. And this is a hazy IPA, like we said, 6.2 ABV, 42 IBUs, and pretty freaking delicious, honestly. Like, better than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I don't have any shade for Gigantic. They're a pretty good brewery, but they're not one of my breweries that I think about like, oh, where am I gonna? What's the best or what's the top 3 in the city? They don't immediately jump to mind. But this beer is very good, and I've never actually had a Gigantic beer that I didn't think was decent.
Yeah,
or better than decent.
And actually, that's weird you say that because we have had them quite a bit on the show.
Okay.
They have been our podcast fuel fairly frequently, and it's because they always have cool bottle art, and I'm always trying to theme things to the deep dive, and so they provide often beer with interesting characters.
Yeah, I think Portland and their whole let's be weird for the sake of weird is a little over the top sometimes. I'm not into it, but then again, I don't live there, so it's okay.
Yeah, you live out here in the gorge, or you look down your nose. It's something I quote from a Conan book where they said Conan has the reverse snobbery of the countryman. and you suffer from that too.
Well, I mean, I look out my back window and I see baby deer frolicking and birds, and I smell the smell of the rain in the forest, and I'm like, this is great. And then I drive downtown and I'm like, the fuck? How do people live here?
Fair enough. I mean, you do see deer frolicking occasionally. The deer look rougher, though.
like they have a meth habit.
Yeah, those freeway deer are hard. They've watched most of their brothers and sisters splatted by cars, and crazy.
So let's take a little break, and then we'll come back and dive into the Blackened Mantle fan edit, and then episodes 1 and 2 of Kenobi.
Okay, welcome back, divers. Let's dive into the Blackened Mantle. So if you're unfamiliar, which probably a lot of people are, the Blackened Mantle is a fan edit that condenses the 3 Star Wars prequels into one film. It uses the Japanese dub of Revenge of the Sith as its primary framework, and then it works in key sequences from The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clone as flashbacks.
Yeah, and first things first was I had not remembered that this was all in Japanese.
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess that must have made it easier for them
to rewrite dialogue.
Yeah, to rewrite dialogue. So you know, it's interesting. I don't think that's very additive, especially like when you hear Mace Windu, like, because Samuel L. Jackson is very specific, and same thing with Yoda speaking Japanese. It's not really the same.
I like the Japanese dub of Yoda. He does a good Yoda voice.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Ultimately, I mean, so the big get is kind of giving you that freedom to read.
There's only one scene with a gun in it. And he says nothing.
Right, you just see a glimpse of Jar Jar. Yeah, but no, I see a lot of people, including myself, have always been very critical of Hayden Christensen's performance, and I like the Japanese voice actor. I miss everyone else. Like you said, I miss Sam Jackson. I miss Ewan McGregor. So ultimately, it was not additive to me either.
I am a Hayden Christensen defender. I think he is a good actor who was directed and written for poorly.
Yeah. So I'm coming around, especially watching interviews with him now. And George Lucas is an interesting guy, and I don't. We owe him a lot, so I don't like to dump on him. But he really indulged, I think, a lot of bad impulses in the prequels as far as for his weird melodramatic dialogue. I don't think that's his strong point, is writing dialogue. And he went for a very particular sort of melodrama performance from the actors.
Yeah, it was extremely I guess melodramatic is the term, but it seemed really over the top how much I don't know, they were so nonsensical with their emotional dialogue in this series, in this prequel trilogy.
Yeah. So just I've kept my notes pretty brief, and I think you went a little deeper, so I think you're going to have more to bring up. But overall, I think they were surprisingly successful at condensing 3 films into one and balancing 3 parallel storylines. Like that, I think it works better than you would expect from an amateur editor.
Okay, so if we're just going to our conclusion.
No, but I'm just. Yeah.
So, I mean, basically, so it opens up with Darth Maul staring at the camera.
Right.
And then he extends his double lightsaber, and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are on the other side of the force fields, and they can't get through. And I immediately thought, okay, this is a great place to start. First of all, you skipped a whole bunch of nonsense. Secondly, this is one of the best lightsaber fights in all of Star Wars. And so we get to see Qui-Gon kicking ass. We get to see, and I thought we were going to get to see Obi-Wan kicking ass, but it cut before Obi-Wan's part of the fight.
Right. They saved that for later.
And then I was like, and I was noticing Ewan McGregor just looks like a kid in Phantom Menace stuff.
Yeah, I think he's at this point, he's done Trainspotting and Shallow Grave, and like that's it. Like he's a very young man, like maybe 21, 22. Yeah, he looks a lot younger than I remember him looking.
And so basically, like, so it goes from that fight where Qui-Gon, where Maul kills Qui-Gon. And spoilers if you haven't seen these movies, Qui-Gon Jinn dies. And
I noticed this is not the dubbed, because that's Ewan McGregor's voice when he yells no. That's his voice there. And
then it cuts straight to Obi-Wan talking to Yoda, and I'm like, fuck, man, like this is weird because I know Obi-Wan fights Darth Maul, but we skip it and we go to him talking to Yoda. And then we go to, Yoda telling him to take Skywalker as an apprentice. And we're like, okay, so we skipped all of the Anakin stuff. You skipped all of it to the point where, boom, this boy is going to be your apprentice. And then as I keep watching, because then they skip to a space battle over Naboo, and you see all this stuff jetting around, and I'm like, oh my God, this is some schizophrenic editing. This is just nuts. Like they're skipping everything. And then as you go forward, it's all done in flashbacks at weird times.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just like, why couldn't you have done this linear or even sort of linear? It's so disjointed because, like, I'm expecting, if you've seen these movies before, first of all, if you've never seen the trilogy, you cannot watch the Blackened Mantle. Okay. It will make no sense.
You think that? Okay.
But if you have seen them, you're expecting something to happen, and you're like, oh, it doesn't happen. And then later on, way later on, it happens. It flashes back to it, and you're like, oh, okay, so we're going to get Anakin's backstory in disjointed pieces as we advance through the, I guess, current day Padawan Anakin stuff. Yeah. And we don't actually finish Anakin's backstory until near the end of the movie.
Right.
So we keep having to see this child actor pop up, who I just think is one of the worst child actors of all time.
Hey, that kid's having a tough time. Like, I think he's in jail right now.
I mean, no hate on him as a person, but as far as his whatever 6-year-old or 8-year-old self, oof. No thanks. Get off the screen.
I really thought, especially the way the thing started out, where we got kind of bits of the end of Phantom Menace, I thought we were going to not see any child Anakin.
Yeah, I was hoping we were going to skip almost all of Phantom Menace.
And I also got the impression, the way we skipped over Anakin, that this was going to be an Obi-Wan focused edit, which is really what I wanted. That's what I came to this, because we're watching this because of Obi-Wan coming out.
Yeah.
And that is what I wanted, was sort of the Obi-Wan cut.
See, I wanted a Darth Vader cut. I wanted a more Anakin, but the thing is you can kick almost all of the childhood stuff out and still get a pretty decent story out of it.
Yeah.
But I got to say, like, after watching this, the childhood stuff that they do include, and then the awkward romance with Padme, there's zero chemistry. It's actual negative chemistry, I think.
So, to me, also when we talk about the Padme and Anakin, one of the big changes I noticed right off the bat is that their relationship isn't a secret in this version.
Yeah, they're married and everyone knows it.
And everyone knows
it. You, go visit your wife.
Yeah. And I thought that was an interesting change, and it kind of, the little bit of subterfuge of their secret relationship never was a big, like, plus for me. And so I kind of like that. But
Jedi aren't supposed to get married, and it's weird, like...
It is. But they're playing fast and loose with the rules in this edit to make the story make more sense or to fit the narrative they want. But I have to say the Padme Anakin stuff, their whole romance is to me it's the low point of those prequels. Mm-hmm. And it's at the same time that in the theatrical version of Attack of the Clones, it's the same time that Obi-Wan is tracking Jango Fett and being led to Kamino.
And we skip pretty much all of that.
We don't get any of it.
We get no Jango. We get one scene with Jango where he shoots at Obi-Wan, and that's the whole thing.
And that's my favorite part of that movie, and none of it is there. They got rid of my favorite part and kept my least favorite part.
They dwelled on the romance. Like, they didn't cut a single moment.
So I started out real high at the beginning, like it's almost like, oh, this is like a best of reel, and they're just showing me my favorite parts. Mm-hmm. And then when Anakin, we get to the whole Anakin carrying Padme's bags and him riding the weird anteaters around and falling off and all of that stuff that I really despise. Mm-hmm. And just like with the original version of the prequels, they lose me. And I start like getting down on the movie while I'm watching it, and it's hard to come back from that.
It really is. Like so not far into it. Mm-hmm. It's like after Anakin is taken as an apprentice to Obi-Wan, and then they skip to a space battle, and they go into
the battle over Coruscant.
Yeah, they play the whole space battle. Like they don't cut any of it, and I was like, so they cut like huge character development and all of these really cool scenes, and then they didn't even cut a moment of this space battle. They included every little bit with the little droids and all this stuff, and I'm just like, wow, it's weird how selective they were with this. How they kept meaningless things in, and they dropped meaningful things, like the whole Jango Fett arc got dropped, and so I was starting to lose it a little bit, and then I kind of got back onto it when they go right to General Grievous shortly thereafter. I'm like, okay, so they're skipping all the way to this. Gotcha.
And I think that stuff's all strong. Grievous is strong. The stuff with Dooku is really strong.
Oh yeah, and I really liked it when like the Palpatine meets up with Dooku and they're talking and you get like a really cool, you get a cool fight scene with Dooku and Christopher Lee, even as an old man, he's just a hell of a swordsman. It's so good.
I'm really impressed with Dooku's ability to not snitch. Like his no snitch policy is strong because it costs him his head there, because he really should have ratted on Palpatine to Anakin right there when Palpatine's like, oh, I cut off his head. And Dooku just sort of like looks like, oh, it's like that. Yeah. And it's like, you're say, oh, he's a Darth Sith Lord. Like, just to plant a little bit of doubt. But Dooku, he keeps his lips shut and loses his head for it.
Yeah, I mean, rip Dooku, he's the best of us. And Palpatine, garbage.
But what's his Ian McDermott, I think is the actor's name.
He does a good job at being a snake.
He's just like such a good scenery chewing villain. It's like, I mean, we talk politics too much probably on this non-political podcast, but he's like a Mitch McConnell, right? Where it's like the guy just sort of oozes villainy and yet somehow is like a powerful member of the Senate. And you're just like, why do people, he got elected to this position and he just villain-splains constantly and acts like a villain, and everyone just like, oh, he's a respected senator. And it's like, but look at the guy. He just sees evil. But that's real life. Like, that's the part of these movies that I love, is the way they portray how politics really are, how these people play both sides. Because Palpatine plays both sides of the war through the Clone Wars. He is literally pushing both sides. Like, he'll talk to the trade Federation or whatever and the droid army, and then he'll turn around and talk to the Jedi. And he's playing chess against himself. And whoever loses, he wins, and whoever wins, he wins.
Yeah, he's just like an agent of chaos. He's stirring the pot so that he can gain power whenever anybody gives. It's weird.
Chaos is a ladder.
Yeah, it's awesome. So basically, like, this thing kind of moves forward, and there's nonsense with with them. The crash landing on Naboo or whatever.
No, it's Coruscant.
Coruscant.
Yeah,
and we find out that Padme is pregnant.
Yeah,
and but Anakin's been away on like campaign all this time, and I'm just thinking to myself, I bet that's Palpatine's kid. That would have been hilarious.
You know, luckily, unlike the new sequels, this movie spares us the idea of Palpatine boning and having a kid.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's canon, right? Palpatine
fucks, yeah. Unfortunately. We're stuck with that.
And so, yeah, then you get more flashbacks with Qui-Gon and Anakin and Darth Maul. And then I was thinking at this point, okay, we're back to Phantom Menace. They didn't skip all of movie 1 like I wanted.
Yeah, but I feel like they're picking good bits.
But my notes here say, oh, they're doing it in flashbacks. Boo! All caps. I hate that flashback method.
You know, it's very modern. That's why I kind of thought this is something that's the parallel storylines, especially after Westworld, where it's done superbly.
Yeah, that's a masterclass right there.
Yeah, the parallel storylines has been sort of a new trend, and it strikes me this happened before Westworld, before that was really a thing. Yeah, it's an amateur version of it, but it works better than it should to me. Obviously, I think you're taking a different view of it. I'm being more charitable.
Yeah, it felt super disjointed, and so it just, I don't know, like, and I really don't care about Anakin's backstory much, just because there's not much to say.
Yeah,
you know.
So, while you bring that up, there was a change that I liked there, and that is that Qui-Gon got Anakin's mother released from slavery as well, not just Anakin.
Yeah,
because that's always struck it kind of, I think everyone is odd in Phantom Menace, that he basically buys Anakin's freedom and then leaves his mom there in bondage and is like, well, I'm taking your boy. Aren't you happy for him? And it's always like, boy, the Jedi just don't give a fuck about people at all.
Yeah, the Jedi are pretty shitty.
Well,
I mean,
they just want balance and order, and they don't want to rock the apple cart.
That's why Vader brings balance to the Force.
He's the chosen one. Yeah. So what's next in your timeline there?
Basically, we get this whole ongoing thing with Anakin and his nightmares, and he keeps talking. He talks to Yoda, and he talks to all these other people, and it's sort of the reason why he wants to turn to the dark side, because he sees Padme dying, and he wants to be able to save her, and so this plot device of the nightmares, it seems pretty ham-fisted. It's not very interesting, and so we basically according to the comics, this is now canon. Palpatine is Anakin's father. That is the comic books made that a thing. Like, he did it with the Force. Like, that is that is a thing. And so I was just kind of like, okay, so as Palpatine knows this is his boy, he's manipulating him, and I don't know why they did that in the comics, but it's recent comics. It's not like ancient history. This is like more, this is modern post-Disney purchase. And they really made Palpatine like the baby messer-upper. Like, that's like his thing. He's all about this.
He's all about knocking girls up.
Yeah, like he's like, I've got the Force impregnate. Boom.
I just excited your midichlorians.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It's like at this point in the movie, in the cut, I'm almost lost. I'm like, man, if I was doing this just on my own, I'd turn this off.
Okay.
But I'm going to finish it because we're going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. We get some stuff with Mace Windu, and it hadn't occurred to me in my original watchings of the movies how much of a dick Mace Windu is to Anakin.
He's really bad to Anakin.
He's such a prick. Like, it kind of makes me happy that he gets wrecked.
We
didn't get any of the cool Mace Windu in this cut.
That's true. Like I said, there's some of the choices the editor makes are baffling. Like some of them, you're like, okay, this is good. I get why you're doing this, and other ones are like, we're skipping over that. That part was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so much of the battle on Geonosis is cut. Like all of the cool stuff with like Padme out like fighting Harryhausen monsters and all of that stuff. Like it's all cut. Like at that point, it's almost like they're like, this is getting really long. We really need to get down to just the core bits.
Yeah.
And we lose so much of the few things that I like in those movies. But another change that jumps out is General Grievous is actually a rebuilt Darth Maul in this version.
Yeah, I thought that was really weird.
I kind of like it in a way because it's for one, it was like almost like prophesized how Darth Maul was going to end up getting resurrected as a cyborg later. Mm-hmm. But it makes, we never get a backstory for General Grievous. Like he's not a droid. He has organic parts inside. And he is
a Borg, not a droid.
Yeah, like why he's so fixated on Obi-Wan makes sense. And like, I think this is one of the things where it's a good storytelling choice. It actually makes things make more sense instead of make less sense.
Yeah, so they get really weird jumping around on things, and we do this fight. You have the Grievous stuff, and then they're back on Coruscant, and the murder centipedes attack, and they chase down the assassin, and that scene is not cut at all. It's not even shortened. It's just weird how they really let certain scenes play out in their entirety and then just totally hack up other things. Like, don't get me wrong. I really like these crowded city scenes. I really like the Coruscant stuff. Yeah. It's like cyberpunk. It's cool.
Coruscant's a very cyberpunk planet. And we get kind of tantalizingly small glimpses of urban Coruscant. Yeah. And it's the opposite of the Tatooine thing where we spend absurd amount of time there. We spend very little time in the lower levels of Coruscant, and they seem much more exciting than the places that we spend a lot of time. Yeah. So I always like when we go there, which is probably why they left that scene basically completely intact.
Because it's cool. Well, and then as they're like trying to leave or whatever, then you get the Jango Fett attack, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Random. That's unrelated to anything else in the whole thing. You could have just left Jango out.
Especially since we don't follow that thread.
Yeah.
Like in the theatrical version of the movie, this is why we split the party and Obi-Wan goes one way and Anakin goes the other way. When they're normally always together, Obi-Wan goes tracking Jango. And that's the plot I want to follow. Instead, we follow the other one, the rom-com meet cute plot.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Annie, you should go with your wife and go on. You need to be off the front lines for a while. Go to Naboo and just do your thing. Let's have some picnics and I'm just like, yawn. Like no one cares about this. This isn't interesting.
And I'm generally more up on things than you. I think I'm even more down on this than you are because like my heart sank when we followed that thread instead of the other one.
Instead of Jango
and Obi-Wan, it was like the characters I like are going this way and the characters I also like are doing stuff I don't care about over here. And we, again, all of that stuff, it's such a little moment and I don't like when people focus on just these tiny things in these movies and nitpick them forever.
Yeah.
But I really hate when Anakin is like surfing on that anteater and he falls down. Like the CGI is really bad. The acting is probably as directed but terrible. And like you said, they have negative chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
That whole thing is just excruciating. And up until the point that it was included, I kept thinking to myself, whenever things got bad, I thought, at least they're going to cut out the scene where Anakin rides on the anteater.
And then they didn't.
And they didn't. And then not to bury the lead, that's when they really lost me. Like, I was willing to go for this ride all the way up until that point. And when they kept, like, my most despised scene of the whole prequel trilogy, I was just like, oh, they left this in here, then what's the point?
Okay, so they lost both of us. Let's just jump through some stuff because we're both not into it.
Oh yeah.
He goes to Tatooine and to find Shmi.
Does a genocide.
He's getting into some ethnic cleansing.
Doesn't that now that we've spent a lot, this has always struck me as bad because the Sand People are with less emphasis on sand, bigger on people. They are literally people that live in the desert. They are
humans, yeah.
Yeah, or humanoids.
Whatever.
It's so much worse now that we've had so much development of the Tuskens.
Yeah, like how their dogs are great and how they have these great religious tradition and stuff.
I was actually very excited to see the dogs.
Yeah.
I was like, I love those dogs from The Mandalorian.
It's like, I want one of those dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they go there. They do he does a genocide. Then the Jedi Council is talking about Anakin. They have a worry. Whatever, no big deal. Yoda's like, I sense badness.
Yeah,
of course, dipshit. You treated this kid like ass, and from the very beginning, you have said he's very dangerous. So rather than nurture him like a delicate plant, you have just like walked on him and treated him like garbage.
It is really weird, right? It's like that's very toxic parenting.
Yeah,
where it's like, ooh, things could go really bad for this kid.
We got to toughen him up.
Let's make sure to cut him off and push him down at every chance.
Yeah, I mean, there were some great things. Like, I like it when the clone troopers are talking to Obi-Wan because I love the clones.
I love the clones.
They're awesome. Then why did they include the gladiator pit scene where Obi-Wan's fighting the monsters and stuff? And then I'm just like, this is so cuttable. This was just a mediocre scene that you didn't have to flash to this.
I don't know, like, I think they should have included more of that.
They should have done either the whole thing or none of it, but you can't do part of it because we don't even know why he's there.
And we don't know. We
cut from a holiday to the Jedi Council to Obi-Wan tied up in a gladiator pit.
You're right. We never see him get captured or whatever happens.
Yeah.
And I think even just as crucially, we never see them get out. Like, we never see their escape. We never see Mace Windu knock the head off Jango Fett,
and all the Jedi who come down and like help fight all the people there and everything. We never get any of that, which I thought was dope when I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, it's like the best part of that movie.
Yeah, you get like there's like 50 Jedi fighting, and you're like, yeah, Jedi on a battlefield.
So they cut that the literal attack of the clones. That is what the title of the movie comes from. They cut that, and they kept anteater surfing. And it's like it's exactly the opposite of what I thought we were getting, because at the beginning I was like, we're just getting the hot parts, we're just getting all of the cool scenes, and it's like a supercut of all of the cool scenes. Like, the problem is I'm already thinking of, oh, well, I'll keep this scene and I'll lose this scene, and like I'm thinking of the things I like and building a movie in my head. And then as they cut things that I would have kept and keep things I would have cut, I'm getting disappointed every time.
Yeah. Because then it cuts to a conversation with Anakin and Mace Windu. Like, okay, so no, first it cuts to a battle and Anakin's there and Padme's there too, and she falls out of a vehicle, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? Oh, we don't ever know, because it cuts right to Anakin having a conversation with Mace Windu, and he's like, Palpatine is a Sith, and Mace Windu's like, okay, I'll take care of him. We're like, all right.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Anakin. It's a flashback this time. Anakin and Padme having some emo time. And I'm just like, fuck, this is so jumbly. There's no linear nature to this.
I think here's what I imagine. I'm going to put myself in their head. They looked at all the scenes, like they laid them all out, probably linearly, like of the whole movie. And then they went, what is Anakin's story? Because that's obviously what the focus is. And so they pulled every scene that he's in. And then they're like, what do we need from the other plot lines in order to stitch these together? And so, like, anything that's not, like you say, Padme falls out, Anakin keeps on going. And so we follow
later
him.
Pregnant wife.
Yeah. So we follow him every time. And it's like, it leads to some very confusing storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, what the Hobbit edit had that doesn't exist here was they had the document, right? Of the movie. They had Tolkien's The Hobbit. And so they could look at all the scenes and go, which ones aren't in the book? Take them out. And then they go, what do we need to put in or keep in to stitch it together?
Yeah, to make it so things make sense.
So there's nothing like that, and it shows.
Yeah.
Like, there's no master, like, best version of this that they can follow.
So we get some nonsense, but then a cool part happens where Dooku fights Obi-Wan, and it's very clear that Dooku is the better fighter, and he's just wrecking him. And then Anakin comes along, and Anakin gets to go dual wield for a moment. He's got Obi-Wan's lightsaber, he's got his lightsaber, and I'm like, oh shit, this is the business. And then Dooku cuts off one of his hands.
Yeah, Dooku serves him.
I'm just like, okay, Dooku too powerful. You guys suck. Later, Jedi.
Yeah. And here's another thing that they cut. They cut Yoda's duel with Dooku.
I know. That was my favorite duel in that movie.
Right? Because this is when Dooku, he serves Obi-Wan, serves Anakin, and Yoda comes in to show why this little green gremlin is the boss.
Yeah.
And it's really important because we've never seen Yoda kick ass before. And it's a really important scene. And we come right up to the cusp of it and then don't have
Imagine what would happen if you fed Yoda after midnight.
He's already green and lumpy. Someone already fed him. Yeah.
Did? Okay. So, side tangent. We've seen all the different lightsaber styles by this point. What do you like best? Do you like single lightsaber where you're two-handing it? Do you like the one-handed single saber like Dooku? Do you like the double ender like Darth Maul, or do you like dual wield? What's your go-to?
I'm an Ahsoka stan, and so I'm for the dual wield.
Dual wield?
Yeah, she has the one reverse grip and like the one forward grip, or sometimes she does both reverse grip. Yeah.
Just for the record, reverse grip is hot garbage.
Yeah, but
it's
it
not
looks
useful at all.
It looks really cool. And these are fantasy movies.
That's true. I'm a dual wield fan too. If I was a lightsaber fighter, I'd have two, and I would use them right side up like a sword fighter. But yeah, I think two is better. Like, why would Maul go with the staff, which is inherently limited in that you can only attack with one at a time?
Oh no, it comes
can
apart.
separate, but he doesn't in this movie.
Well, yeah,
he should.
But sometimes he does in other things.
Okay, I mean other things that are not very popular or well known. Compared to the main...
I don't think you get like 11 seasons of Clone Wars if it's not very popular.
Oh, I mean, it's just... I'd argue that most people did not see that. Most Star Wars fans have not seen 11 seasons of Clone Wars.
But it doesn't keep coming back without people watching it. It's got to get crazy numbers. The number of times it's been brought back. Maybe.
But I still think that dual wield is the way. The staff lightsaber is lame. Yoda and Dooku make a convincing argument for single saber.
Dooku's like his curved handle lightsaber
That's like
is one of the dopest.
Yeah, it's like a French grip fencing saber. It's really cool.
I do always, because I like unicorn stuff. I always like any of the weird ones.
Yeah, like even the cross hilt, Kylo Ren. That's pretty dope too.
Yeah, Kylo Ren's is very menacing and very
it's all sputtering and gnarly,
and it makes the likelihood of self-harm so high that it's like, oh, that guy's crazy. Whenever you see it, it's sort of like only an idiot would wield that.
Yeah, but don't lock blades with him where you're like pressing on each other because he'll hit you with the cross guard.
And it's one of those weapons though, like it's like like the flying guillotine or something where you're just as likely to hit yourself with it.
Oh yeah,
but it's so deadly.
So. Very, very cool. So we agree dual wield's the way to go. Yeah. But I too like Dooku's saber. Like if I was gonna have like a replica of one or something, I'd want a Dooku style.
So this is let's take a tangent into things that are more fun for a second and talk about lightsabers.
Okay.
If say we go to Galaxy's Edge,
we should definitely do that.
Are you build your own custom lightsaber, or buy a replica of a favorite lightsaber?
See, I've looked at a lot of because you can go online and look at the various parts available for the build your own, and I think those are fairly cool. And I've seen some decent mix and match ones, but I don't think they offer like a saber hilt style like Dooku. Yeah. Do they offer that?
In the store? Yeah, it's not in the
build your own.
It's not in the build your own. You have in the store you can buy.
You can just buy Dooku's saber. Yeah, I think I would probably buy. I probably would build my own just because I'm a snowflake. But I would really want that Dooku saber. I don't really like let's be real. The ones from the original trilogy are kind of bunk. Like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, it's not very cool.
I'm all in on Luke's second lightsaber, the one that he built himself. Not Anakin's saber, but Luke's green lightsaber. I mean, that's just like...
so your lightsaber would be green and mine would be red.
Yeah.
But in reality, I probably wouldn't be a Sith. I probably would be like an Ahsoka and have like a white lightsaber or something like that.
I like because
I fancy myself a bad guy, but I'm not actually a bad. I don't do bad guy shit.
Yeah, the Empire are space Nazis, and the Sith are like that book, The Occult Roots of Nazism. The Sith are the occult roots of space Nazism.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I just don't like the Jedi Council either because they're space fascists.
Zen fascists.
Yeah, they're Zen fascists. I don't like extremists.
Which is why, Ahsoka with the white lightsabers is the way to go.
Yeah.
She had a green and a yellow in the original, which is also cool.
Yeah, I like yellow. Those look really cool.
And the yellows are very rare. Like Rey has a yellow lightsaber. Mm-hmm. There's very few characters, and it's something like all the different colors mean something. I feel like the yellow. And the yellow ones are more scholarly or something like.
Yeah, I don't. Well, it depends on if they've decanonized it or whatever. But in the old role-playing game system, because of course I played that, the different crystal colors gave you different bonuses to do different things and whatnot.
That's very role-playing.
And the yellow one was a defensive lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Well, and then that kind of works with her one reverse, one forward.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the reverse one. That's the defensive one, right? Where you block with or whatever.
Yeah. So, that's pretty cool.
Filoni is a deep nerd. Let no one doubt it.
He's certainly read all of that. Yeah, I would like to go there and make a lightsaber.
Okay, let's get back to this turkey.
Okay, so Order 66 happens. They don't call it that. They call it, because it's Japanese dubbed, they're like, what do they call it? The extermination... doctrine or something like that. They have a different name. They don't call it 66.
They call because I speak a little Japanese. They definitely call it Order 66.
Oh well, the subtitles
don't say that.
Don't call that. Yeah, and then they go around killing Jedi. Yoda gets away. Chewbacca helps him. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. Everyone loves Chewbacca. Rip.
Miss you, I will, Chewbacca.
Yes.
And then
it's
later, the worst.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's horrible.
It is very horrible. And then Kenobi gets in a ship, talks to Organa, and he clues him in. He's like, okay, yeah. He tells Kenobi, yeah, all the clones just turned on all the Jedi. They're almost all dead. And I'm thinking, okay, now we're going to get to some shit. Except we get a flashback to young Anakin being accepted as a Jedi Padawan and all this shit. And I'm like, this is lame. And so finally, after a little bit longer, we actually get to the dope shit of Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin turns, Palpatine takes over, declares the Jedi an enemy of the state, Darth Vader... Anakin goes in and just starts murdering everybody, and I'm just like, yes. And so finally we get a little montage of Obi-Wan finding the dead younglings. We don't actually get to see him kill all the younglings. Not that really matters. And so I'm just thinking, like, okay, now we're getting into the cool shit. But we keep occasionally getting these obnoxious flashbacks, and I'm just like, come on.
So there's one sequence in all of this stuff here that I want to spotlight because I really liked it. It was the way they intercut Anakin being wheeled to the Ripper dock.
That's after the best fight sequence.
Oh, you're right. It's because we haven't had Anakin have his arms and legs cut off yet.
So basically we have Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan goes in and he's got Qui-Gon's saber, and you see him fighting with. He actually gets to fight Darth Maul. We get this late in the movie. We get the Obi-Wan killing Darth Maul fight, and I'm like, okay, finally a good lightsaber fight, and then we finally get Anakin force chokes Padme, and I'm like, whoa, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I guess I'd excised that from my mind.
And I think a crucial change here is what kills her.
Yeah,
because
he murders her.
In the theatrical version, she dies of a broken heart after the fact.
Yeah.
And it always, like, Padme, even though I don't love a lot of the sequences she's in, that's not anything on Natalie Portman.
No, she's great.
The way she portrays Padme, when she gets the chance to be the character, she's always so good. And not that, like, dying of her, it's tragic or whatever, but, like, I just don't see that in her character, that
she would die of a broken heart. No,
she's like someone that's going to, like, I'm going to get back up and keep fighting. She's not a die of a broken heart sort of character.
No, and I think Natalie Portman is a really, really good actor. I think she does a great job. And I think actually she is one of the ones who's proof that a child actor can still be really good, like in Leon the Professional.
Professional's good.
And it's just like, like she's so good in that. And same thing with like Kirsten Dunst as Claudia.
Yeah.
Child acting can be excellent. It's just often not.
Right.
And so like she's really good, and this is a way better way for her to go out, is to have Anakin kill her.
Yeah, because it makes the whole thing, like, he's been having these visions of her, literally of him choking her. That is the vision that he's having over and over again, and that he's so desperate to stop. And then in the moment, he's literally the only person that could not do it. And he does it. He fulfills his own negative prophecy. And it's one of those things where, like, this is actually good storytelling, where they've improved on the way the original story was told. Yeah,
so he chokes out Padme, and then Obi-Wan's like, no. And he's like, I can't stop you from fighting me, Anakin. And Anakin's like, nope. And goes at him. And I gotta say, I think the Obi-Wan versus Anakin lightsaber fight is probably the best lightsaber fight in all 9 movies. I think it's the best one. Anakin, like, if you watch the actors, I think Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, they must have rehearsed this for weeks.
Yeah.
They're so fast and they're so spot on. Like, the strikes are really snappy. Like, it's not cheesy stage combat. It's really good.
Ewan McGregor is really good with a lightsaber. Here that's my controversial take for the for the thing, because I've seen like talk shows and stuff. Like he was on Graham Norton, and they give him a lightsaber to play with.
Yeah,
and he like kind of immediately like gets in form and starts like doing like lightsaber katas almost with it.
Yeah, I mean they trained with Ray Parks, who's the guy that played Darth Maul, who's like a stage combat master.
I have more of a mixed take on this scene because I think their performances are really strong. But there is a lot of CG nonsense.
There is.
That is going on around them. It has nothing to do with what they're doing.
It reminds
and everything to do with like just wanking all over. Look what I can do with computers.
Yeah, it reminds me of the nonsense inside the Misty Mountains with the goblins and all of the hobbits and stuff. And I was like, come on, you don't need graphics and a weird falling scene in order to make this drama cool.
It happens with certain filmmakers. They get really fixated on what you can do with the computer and the visuals that you can create, and they actually like put so much in that it takes away from the human performance.
Yeah, because ultimately this should have been a scene where Obi-Wan, who is essentially Anakin's surrogate father, is forced to put down his boy who's gone rabid. And that should be some gut-wrenching stuff. And even in the end, after he, like Anakin leaps at him, does the flip, and Obi-Wan does the spin move and cuts off both his legs, he refuses to put him down. And I was just like, oh man, if I were him, like, I think the mercy is to give him a boot into the lava. Just push him off like a ship going into water. Just, okay, here's your Viking burial.
But he can't bring himself to do it.
I know, what a coward. Or even just a force push. Just boom, there you go.
Yeah.
And then we get kindly, gentle, loving Palpatine comes. And they take him away on the gurney. And like you said, they have the Padme funeral and the Vader reconstruction. And so they're both on these hovering like palanquins or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's very artistically done.
Yeah.
It's very good. This is probably the best cutting of the whole movie.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I mean, this happens a lot where they kind of knew what they wanted to do at the start and knew how they want to end things, and the middle's real mushy.
Yeah.
Because this is where you're starting to be like, now this is really... Because I went back last night and watched the end of Revenge of the Sith, because I was like, how was it cut together in the original?
Yeah.
And this is definitely unique to this version, that parallel that they make.
Yeah, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Because it's the death of Anakin, really, and the birth of Vader. And the only bad thing about the end is they kept the Vader scream in. He kind of Wookiees it. I didn't really like that.
He does the Frankenstein walk off the board.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, at the end, basically, Obi-Wan, he offers to take the boy off to his family on Tatooine, and Organa offers to adopt the girl. And I'm just thinking, okay, Obi-Wan, you're a fucking dick. Girl gets to go and be a princess and cared for and be nobility and all of that. The boy gets to be a shit farmer on Hell World. Why?
They're vapor farmers. They farm moisture.
This is a terrible life. It's the worst. Like, why the disparity? Like, one gets to have this amazing life, and the other one is just scraping for literal vapor to drink. It's so horrible. What a dick.
There is a great meme. I think I'm pretty sure it was our mutual friend Mario sent it to me. Of this sequence, and Jimmy Schmidt's character is like, I'll take the girl, she'll be a princess, and Obi-Wan says, and I'll take the boy, he will be tolerated.
Yeah. And that's basically it. The boy was tolerated and nothing more. He had a terrible life, and it sucked.
That was the end of that story, tragically.
And that's the end of the movie. And yeah, and then the boy was never heard from again. He died. He died of malnutrition. Yeah, and so I gotta say, not good.
It didn't. No, it didn't deliver. It didn't deliver what I wanted it to. It didn't live up to the hype on the internet because there's like Reddit pages about how great this is, and they oversold it a bit.
Sure.
Me. Yeah. But I think we've probably talked about this stuff as we went along. But I just have to ask, what worked for you?
What were for me? I guess I really liked the lightsaber fights that were kept in. I liked the general story arc of Anakin being mostly kept in.
Yeah.
With the exception of the annoying childhood stuff and the annoying romance stuff. I do think the fall of Anakin is the point of the movies. Yeah. And so I think that was the focus of the trilogy. And so I'm glad that we kept that intact. How about you? What were for you?
I think the cold open, the Duel of the Fates sequence is really effective. The way they go from that and then into the battle over Coruscant. It really is a strong opening, and it had me feeling very up on the movie right from the start. I think the Japanese voice cast is really strong, and they take full advantage of them. So you get to change dialogue while still keeping really good performances. They take advantage of the fact most of us don't speak Japanese, and get to have their cake and eat it too a little bit. And I think they did a surprisingly good job of editing the three timelines together. There's certain moments like the Padme Anakin parallel thing where it's done superbly, and moments where it's not as good. But there's some moments where the editing really sings. What about what didn't work for you?
I mean, the chopped up lack of flow and the weird flashback style was just totally annoying. And some of the stuff they edited together, you could tell they were using like Anakin from different movies in the same kind of sequence to create a new flow and you could tell because he has different haircuts, right, like in the same flow. You're like, oh, long-haired Anakin, okay, short-haired Anakin, okay, back to long-haired Anakin in the same flow. And I'm just like, what? This is lame. Like, don't do that. Don't take so many liberties. Do more deleting and just keep the good stuff, delete the fluff. And just give us a little more of a pure thing. Stop taking so many artistic liberties, because I think that it was too choppy and too jumbled. There were a few artistic liberties that I liked, like having Anakin be the one that actually killed Padme. I think that actually served the character of Padme better. Right. But there were just a ton of things they did not need to keep that were just too... just extra. It's just garbage. So it just, I guess the editing, I did not like it.
Okay.
How about you? What didn't work?
So the thing that worked for me, and maybe this is unfair for this to be my big takeaway, but it is what it is. This is why it didn't work for me. It just didn't do what I wanted it to. Like I had sort of probably already kind of come up with my list of keep and cuts, and it went against them so often that I really ended up finding it very frustrating. It wasn't like a really interesting recontextualization of this story that improved on it to me. I'd rather just watch the movies. Like for all the things I dislike about them, they're coherent. They tell the story the way it's intended to be told.
I was honestly I was thinking that too. By the time I got to the end of it, I was like thinking I would rather just watch the originals and fast forward through the gun battle sequences and fast forward through the whole pod race scenario. Just watch it on like times 32. So I can just sort of see,
what's happening.
Yeah, okay, pod race, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, go. And then go back to regular speed. Like I would rather watch it like that.
Yeah, no, we agree on that, I think. So star rating?
1 star.
You went 1. I'm gonna give it a 2. I think it has its moments, like those moments that I go, no, okay, no, this I like, and that gets it the 2nd star. It's not a recommend.
I give the original trilogy as it sits 2-star rating. I give the Blackened Mantle cut 1 star. It's just too disjointed. You can't watch it if you haven't already seen the originals.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment, I think. Well, why don't we'll take a quick break, and then we will get into Kenobi, which we're happier about.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back, divers. Let's dive into our hot take for Obi-Wan Kenobi Part 1 and Part 2. Right off the bat, I hate to say this, the recap that just automatically happens at the beginning when you watch it on Disney Plus.
The trilogy movies.
It does more in 3 minutes, or it does a better job in 3 minutes of condensing that story than the Blackened Mantle did in 3+ hours.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I put in my notes. I said, this intro is better than the Blackened Mantle, and it's better than the trilogies. Don't watch those movies. Watch episode 1 of Kenobi, and you know what you need to know.
It really does a great job. I was just like, this is how you edit.
And I think it was maybe 5 minutes, but still, it's
no. I pulled up the timer.
Oh, did you? Is it
it's 3 minutes? Yeah.
Man, because really that was some skillful like distilling. They took 3 movies in 3 minutes, and it was great.
Not since the Ramones has someone packed more into 3 minutes than whoever put this recap together.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, this is really cool, and I was super happy about that.
Okay,
and I wasn't sure what they were gonna do with this series. Like, I had no idea what they were gonna do. I had not followed any of the hype train because I wanted it to be fresh.
So, Part 1. Here's my synopsis: in which Obi-Wan hides in plain sight as a sand shark butcher. The Sith Inquisitors hunt the last vestiges of the Jedi. Little Leia is already a rebel and gets herself kidnapped by a Red Hot Chili Pepper. And yes. Obi-Wan is forced off the bench to go and get her.
Yeah, so I didn't really get it that this was going to be... I didn't think this would have so much to do with Luke and Leia. I thought it would be more focused on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it really isn't. I think it's interesting how Obi-Wan is kind of watching Luke, and Owen is just a complete prick to him.
I love Owen Lars, man. Joel Edgerton is a prick. Like
is he?
Well, no. I mean, not the guy, but like the way he plays him, he doesn't want anything to fucking do with Jedi. And I think that's valid.
Sure. And I think the Inquisitors are super dope. Like, I really like the Inquisitors included in this. I think the third sister, as they call her, she's really cool. I like I really liked those new villains. I thought they were great. And I really did think Flea did a great job. But I was just like, I don't know. The little girl who played Leia, so, I mean, she was probably 8 when they filmed this, and she's supposed to be 10, because she definitely didn't look old enough. She looked too young.
Right.
And I went and looked up her age and all that to figure it out. And I was like, yeah, that's because she's... I was just like, fuck, man, another a series about kids? This is lame. Like, come on.
I think you get too much of kids in your real life, and you don't want.
I just wanted a story about Obi-Wan Kenobi, not some plucky little girl.
But this part of
he's not even supposed to be her guardian.
But he is Luke's guardian.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, and watching over these kids is his mission, essentially.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's to be expected. And so the little girl, Vivian Lyra Blair, that plays Leia, I didn't know she was not previously announced. I didn't know it was going to spend so much time with her.
Yeah.
But I'm charmed. I love this little girl.
I do not like rehashed character casting. I don't like, I just want a different story. I don't know. I guess I don't want more of the Skywalker saga, which I guess you can't really disconnect Kenobi, but I thought that there was going to be like a decade worth of Kenobi doing some shit, but no, it just skipped right past a decade of him doing stuff, and he's just working as a butcher, and he's just being a sad man who is just all down on himself. And when that other young Jedi comes to seek him out and get help,
right?
I'm just like, come on, Obi-Wan, you don't turn this kid away. He's a good dude, and he turns him away.
I mean, that kid is gonna fuck up his hiding.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But he shouldn't be hiding like that.
Arguably, you're right? Like, the way the Jedis just go off and hide, like, Yoda's even worse, right?
Yeah, because he's Yoda in a jungle.
Yoda does shit for 20 years. It's because they're just completely broken by what happened, right? So they just, none of them know what to do because they thought they knew everything, and their whole world just fell apart.
I also think they did another Star Warsism here, where they had to make a cutesy little droid to steal the scenes, and so they made the little ladybug droid
and a toy to sell. Yeah,
and I was like, okay, that's kind of cute, I guess. And then Flea breaks it, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, you're the worst. You earn your red lightsaber because you're like, I love when kids get their toys broken. Speaking of toys, when the one that I really cringe about is when Owen comes and throws down
the little fighter.
Yeah, he throws that shuttle down. And I just like Obi-Wan is like, I live in a cave, Owen. That was 50 credits. Yeah. I'm butchering a whale out in the desert.
I love the Obi-Wan accent compared to Ewan McGregor's real accent. It's so much more posh.
Yeah, it is it's Sir Alec Guinness. Like, he's trying to affect that, not do an impression, but just sort of like do that. And maybe you don't like the kids, but Ewan McGregor is just so good. Like,
he is good.
I just love him so much. I love this character.
Have you watched his motorcycle documentaries, Long Way Down, Long Way Around? I
haven't watched those. Yeah,
very good.
They've been on my list forever, and I don't know. I need to watch. I love those travel shows. I love him. So
yeah, it's really good. It makes me want to go buy an adventure bike and just do some off-road shit.
It always seems fun. Whenever I see someone on one of those, a Triumph that sits up really high, and has big big shocks on it, I just think oh, that guy looks like he's having way more fun than me. I'm driving my work van and I'm looking over and it's like, yeah, I should do that. I should just be a vagabond.
I don't want to be a vagabond, but I would be a weekend warrior out in the wilderness with one of those things.
Yeah. Just a few more things in my notes. The show looks very cinematic. You don't always have to put something down in order to lift something up. This looks much more expensive than the Book of Boba Fett looked.
Yeah, that looked a little cheap.
Yeah, and it's I imagine it's largely even on the same sets, probably. Because you build a Tatooine, you're going to get the most mileage out of that as you can. But it just looks good, and I give a lot of credit to Deborah Chow. I went and looked through her IMDb. She directed all 6 episodes. She's directed some really great television, like Better Call Saul and American Gods.
Okay.
She's not directed any features, and I want to see her make movies because she's spent too long in the TV ghetto. She's earned her way out. And TV's not a ghetto because it's the golden age of television, but I want to see her make movies.
Do a Star Wars movie.
Please.
That'd be cool.
Please, actually, all these people that have done multiple episodes of Mando and Boba Fett and now this show.
Not Boba Fett, though.
There's good directors working on Boba Fett.
That's true.
Make movies. Your proof of concept is out there, and now it's time. I want to see movies from these directors.
I agree. I think that this looked really good. I am tired of Tatooine. I don't like children actors.
That's in my notes.
I thought that this was overall this was fun. The first episode was fun. I enjoyed the introduction of the Inquisitors as the new bad guys. They set the stage really well.
The fifth brother. Do you recognize?
No.
That is Sung Kang. That's Han from Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay. That's
Completely
cool.
unrecognizable. I was like, I know this guy. Every time he talked, I was like,
Han Solo in
Star Wars. Yes.
Okay, that's cool. They got to give him a driving scene.
Oh man, if he rips up in like an orange Mazda, but it's floating.
Oh, yeah.
It was
They
like,
got to give him an orange speeder. That'd be really cool.
I think when you're in the Inquisitors, everything's black. It's just required.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they look really cool. Like,
Yeah, and so the Grand Inquisitor and the Fifth Brother are both from Rebels. We've seen them in animation, but the third sister, she's new. God, what's the name? Her name's
Reva?
Moses. Oh, Reva's the character's
name. Sorry, I didn't catch the actress
Moses
name.
Ingram is the actor's name. She's good. Like I
thought
really
she was
like her.
really great.
I love the thing about the dark side and like Sith in general, they're sort of the opposite of the Jedi in that they're always scheming against each other in this way, and like they're hot-headed, like they're not level. They all, because that's the whole point of giving into the dark side.
It's all about passion.
Yeah. So yeah, I like the Inquisitors quite a bit.
Yeah. So I mean, episode 1, pretty good. I was thinking like, I'm moderately encouraged. I'm not. After episode 1, I was not like, oh yeah, let's go. I was more like, yeah, all right. This is all right. Let's keep going.
I feel like Star Wars has burned me enough that I'm always cautious. So I watched both episodes twice. I watched them that first time Friday night when I got home from work. And then I watched them again this morning. And this morning it was a much like when I'm not watching them like with a sort of like, oh, is this going to be any good? When I've already kind of got that first one out of the way, I found them both these episodes hit harder on the rewatch. Like
I'll have to do that. I
really enjoyed them.
I was out of town camping all weekend, so I watched them last night when I got home.
Okay.
And I liked it. And then we watched episode 2. So you want to get into that one?
Yeah. So
because I just watched them back to back.
Part 2, in which Obi-Wan pokes around in a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Mm-hmm.
Haja Estri runs scams. Little Leia proves to be a handful. The third sister goes rogue. And Obi-Wan gets some unexpected news about Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, so this thing starts off, and we're in. Is this Coruscant or
no?
It's just some
not
random hive world. Like
it's one of the shitty planets.
Yeah, I really like the cyberpunk look and style. I think it just looks rad.
Definitely.
I want them to do a whole show, like a gritty detective show or something, on one of these hive worlds.
So that. I had that same thought because what this episode reminded me of was there was a Star Wars underworld crime show that was being developed for HBO before Lucas sold to Disney.
Oh man.
That was kind of in the wake of the success of The Sopranos, and it was supposed to be about crime in the lower levels of Coruscant.
Yeah.
And watching this episode just reminded me how stoked I was for that show when they were developing it and how much I still want it. Like that's the shit that we're not getting that I really want to see.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And of course, I always bring up role-playing games. I think that playing like a cyberpunk style Star Wars game in like a place like this where you have some Inquisitors and you have Stormtrooper bad guys and you have all the criminal element. I think it could be really cool.
What are like hackers and Star Wars? Slicers,
yeah.
Yeah. Like
you have slicers and smugglers and you have spice dealers and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah. So just some of my jump out moments. The 501st Legion clone trooper panhandling on the side of the street.
Oh, was that a 501st?
That's one of Obi-Wan's dudes. Like that's one of the people that he led.
Yeah, okay.
And so that scene that hits hard,
and
man.
So he gave him some credits. That's pretty.
And
cool.
they have like a long look at each other, and I really was like, does he
think
like
guy?
He's like, that looks like my general, like like you can see it. Like Tamora Morris, I swear, like I know he can do good like he can, because he does good face acting just in that little scene.
Sure.
So that one hit. Ewan McGregor's daughter makes a cameo as a spice dealer. So I love that.
Oh, was that the girl who
Yeah.
who he talks to and makes and tries to sell him spice and then gives him a freebie?
I like how in Dune, spice is used for a lot of things. It is a drug, but it's also used for navigation and like computation and like they use spice for more stuff. In Star Wars, it just gets you high, man. Like, like it is just a drug in Star Wars.
So I really like the stormtroopers, the old school one, the clone trooper, and then I like the new school stormtroopers walking around the city, and like I just thought they were cool. I love this kind of golden era of Star Wars at the height of the Empire. Mm-hmm. I think that this is the most interesting time before when the rebels are like a small faction and they're really fighting against Goliath.
Yeah, because this is even pre Rogue One, so there isn't really even the Rebel Alliance yet.
Yeah, because
there's just little factions.
In the pantheon of Dave, there's really only 4 Star Wars movies: the original trilogy and Rogue One. Like all the rest are just not that good.
I don't agree with that. That's a whole thing.
And so like I think. The kid offers to take him to see a Jedi. Mm-hmm. Turns out the Jedi is a huckster and a charlatan using like magnets and remote controls to move things.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought it was fun. It's very much Star Warsy that there's somebody being a trickster and then he runs into a real Jedi.
Yeah. And I love how the real Jedi are in hiding and there's people pretending to be Jedi for clout.
Yeah.
And Kumail Nanjiani is just having the time of his life playing this character.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that basically, I think that this is like The Dark Knight Returns, but for Obi-Wan. He's like, I'm just too old for this shit. And like, this is like, I lost all my, he has no zest, no gusto.
Now, he does like kick ass. I love when he just
brawls with people.
Yeah, and it is very like he's using a blaster and he is brawling. Like he's not like, it's not elegant Obi-Wan. This is like an Obi-Wan that's been cutting up a shark in the desert for 10 years.
Yeah, like we get to see a Zabrak that isn't Darth Maul, and he's just like a scumbag that gets beat up by Obi-Wan. And I think that's cool because they're a really cool species. I think they're interesting. Back in the day, the old MMORPG Star Wars Galaxies, I played a Zabrak. That was my main character for the longest time. And so it made me happy to see them.
I like the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
He reminds us subtly that the Empire is very racist, because it's always anytime that there's someone that's not a posh white English person, that's in any level in the Empire, you always have to wonder like what did they do to work their way up there, because you have to be. It's like if you're like what's one of the Weasley, that's General Hux or whatever, like. He just falls his way to the top. Like, he doesn't have to be remarkable. But if you're like Grand Admiral Thrawn or any of these non-white people that make it up there, like you've got a big body count behind you. Like, you've done some shit to make it that high.
Or what's the dude's name
Moff Gideon?
Yeah, Moff Gideon. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Moff Gideon's brutal to get as high as he is to be
Gideon.
a Moff.
He's the shit. So yeah, I really like this, and I think it's funny. There are some things like where Child Leia's like, you seem kind of old and beat up. It's like, yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah, he's got like when he saves her, like he's just been in a fight that he barely made it through, right? So he's got a bloody nose and like he doesn't look the dashing hero at all.
I do like that one scene where third sister Reva is standing on top of the building like Batman. She's perching and looking across the city. It's so badass.
She does a pretty good Batman, is what I said in my notes. And I also say she does good evil parkour.
Yeah, she does. She parkours her way down. But then a moment happens and I just was like, fuck this. This is stupid. When Leia runs away from Anakin and is
from Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and he's trying to chase her down and he's trying to catch her, and I'm just like, Kid running away, goose chase. This is not interesting. This is such a shitty trope.
Yeah.
Like, why?
I'll give you that. I'll say that there's times, and in episode 1 or part 1, as they call it, there's times when Leia giving adults the slip strains credulity.
Oh, yeah. Because, like when those bounty hunter guys or whatever are chasing her in the forest, I'm like, seriously, have you ever run against an 8-year-old? They're fucking slow. Like, I can catch him in 3 strides.
And there's a lot.
Ask me how I know.
There's a lot of times when the kid is literally in grabbing distance and gives the adult a slip. And I just think like, that's just not believable. But they're brief.
And then I just said my next note was like, I wish they made adult content for Star Wars. I guess that's what Dune is.
Dune.
Because this is kids content. Like you have the plucky little girl.
It's family
and I'm
content.
just like, fuck, man.
There's a difference. See, no, there's a big difference though between kids content and
Sure, this is family content.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of stuff for dad, but it's a lot of stuff for baby.
Yeah. You know, that's why part of why I'm stoked for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. Like, I think it's better that it's not an official Star Wars thing because it will be.
Will there be lightsaber fights?
I think there'll be laser sword.
Sure,
fights.
yeah. You can't own the idea of a laser sword.
Yeah, I think there's going to be laser sword fights, and I think because it's Zack Snyder.
And when is that coming out? Because that sounds really interesting.
He's been sharing like footage, like they're filming now.
Oh, they're filming now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool.
Or they might actually even be wrapped on filming and just doing the digital shit right now, which will take a while.
Sure.
But yeah, probably 2023 on Netflix we'll get Rebel Moon.
Okay.
That'll be your head lopping Star Wars.
That'd be some badass, some R-rated Star Wars. So so then we get some Inquisitor fighting stuff, and I noticed I really, really like Reva's lightsaber, how it has the D-ring hilt. Because that, assuming it's got something like maybe a little bit of Beskar or something so that it could actually block a lightsaber, that's got to be the best lightsaber hilt of all that I've seen. Just period.
I kind of thought I liked hers a lot too, and it's got like a scalloped edge, so it looks mean. You don't want to get punched with that.
Yeah, and if you can block a lightsaber with that so that they can't lop your fingers off, that's the shit.
Yeah. What do you think about the other Inquisitors, the propeller lightsabers?
I think it's kind of cheesy, but it seems realistic. Like that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
It seems like if you had a lightsaber, you could just stick your lightsaber in the middle and cut it and break the mechanism.
Yeah, but I think that's probably hard to get to when that thing's spinning around.
Yeah. It also seems hella dangerous. Like you're gonna cut your toes off and like maybe your nose.
That's how the Sith is, man. Like we talked about that with Kylo Ren earlier.
Yeah.
He's got the self-harm lightsaber, the spinning lightsaber propeller.
Yeah, like Grievous was already dangerous as fuck with his various lightsabers, but he had a Borg body. He could just replace parts.
Grievous already lost all his arms and legs.
Yeah.
Like, what? We have no idea what General Grievous looked like before he was in that contraption.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was Darth Maul.
Oh yeah. In
this alternate parallel fan fiction. I do like it when Reva kills the Grand Inquisitor because he's going to steal credit for catching Obi-Wan. I was like, okay, that seems very Sith. Like that's so dark side is to just like kill the dude who's trying to steal your credit.
Yeah. They basically own goal themselves right there, right?
Oh, yeah.
In that both of them want to be the one that caught Obi-Wan, and so neither of them catch him rather than let the other one catch them.
But I think they would both rather Obi-Wan get away than the other person catch him because then he's out there to still catch.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And so they both...
She's like, I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to catch him because you won't be around to compete with me.
And this is one of those things where characters have plot armor, because I know the Grand Inquisitor is still alive after this because I watched Rebels.
Well, he just got stabbed in the gut, right? It's
Yeah.
not. I mean, there's no reason. We know from
Darth Maul
various,
got his legs cut off, and so did Vader. Yeah.
Yeah, we know that other people can get stabbed in the guts. Like, what's her name in Boba Fett?
Oh yeah.
She got a whole gut replacement. It can happen. It's
a
fine.
thing in Star Wars.
Yeah, and so I think
if you're important, a gut wound is not fatal.
Yeah, that won't kill you. So I mean, then we learn that she tells Anakin that, or she tells Obi-Wan that Anakin Skywalker lives.
Yeah, and so both of them, Ewan McGregor and Moses Ingram, this scene is just good. Like, she's really like seething with menace, and it's like a horror movie villain, right?
Yeah,
and his face acting, because it's very parallel to Return of the Jedi, right? Where when Vader is kind of probing Luke, and Luke is hiding, and he's just talking shit, trying to get that emotional spike that he can read in the Force. And that's what the third sister does here. She just she talks shit until she gets him in the feelings, and then she's like, there it is. He pinged on her little radar.
But I want to say, if you're gonna be real about it, assuming Obi-Wan will, he uses the Force again for the first time in here to stop Leia from falling to her death. Assuming he starts using the Force again or whatever, which we know he does because we've seen the movies, and we've seen him in lightsaber battles before, he will fucking smoke Reva. He's a Jedi master.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. She doesn't have a chance against a fully functional Obi-Wan Kenobi. She only gets the old and busted version that she has a chance against.
Yeah. And so they do a really good job, I think, of teasing us with lightsaber battles.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Because Obi-Wan, we've seen, he has his lightsaber.
He hasn't used it.
But he hasn't used it yet. And I bet we probably don't see him use it. Probably till episode 4. Oh, you think we get
4? I bet 4.
You
think 3?
Oh, I think it's further.
Oh, you think 5, 6?
I think 5 or 6. Yeah.
Oh man, I think 4. They're gonna wait till the second half of the series.
Yeah, it's gonna be
and we get Lord Vader in this for real, like for sure.
Yeah,
like Hayden Christensen's doing.
Well,
it, right?
I guess it's not totally clear. The preview image on Disney Plus, where it appears to be Obi-Wan in the background facing Vader in the foreground with the red lightsaber.
Yeah,
because that's not Third Sister's lightsaber. It
doesn't have the D ring.
Yeah, and it's definitely not the Inquisitor's lightsaber.
Yeah, and so I really want to see Darth Vader. That's what I want. Like, if I can get some Darth Vader, I'll be on board.
And we get a little
my favorite.
We get a little glimpse of Hayden Christensen in the full Darth Vader makeup.
Yeah, we get
in the Bacta tank, and it fucking works.
Yeah, I think so.
It's one of those things. The Inquisitor, where Rupert Friend plays him, and he looks a little too puffy compared to how he was in animation, because when you add makeup to someone, it just adds bulk to their face.
And he has some like latex work on him, you can tell. Like,
right, but it really works for Vader because Vader is bulkier than Anakin. So like Hayden Christensen plus all the appliances,
I think
looks like a Frankenstein monster.
It's pretty important to get Hayden Christensen playing Vader in this. It wouldn't work with someone else. He needs to be the one, because he did a great job as Anakin despite the writing. I was very happy with him as Anakin, and I would have been very unhappy if they recast him.
Yeah. And I watched a bunch of the panels and stuff from Star Wars Celebration, and I've been watching interviews with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, and both of them, because of the way critics and fans kind of really, including us, have been really hard on those prequels, kind of how much it's meant to them to discover that they really do have like a generation of fans that grew up on those movies
that like them.
And it was crazy watching excuse the cats.
Yeah,
watching Star Wars Celebration and watching Hayden Christensen's face as people like shout out dialogue and stuff to him at conventions, and he's sort of like, I thought everyone hated me. but there's people that like love me. And it means a lot to them.
I'm a Hayden Christensen fan. I think he got totally done dirty by the community, and I think he did a good job. I am anti-George Lucas. I think George Lucas does the best job when he does meta plot and he lets someone else direct the movies.
I think The Empire Strikes Back proves that point, right?
Yeah, he just needs to make a script and make a meta plot and then let somebody else handle the directing.
So I mean, yeah, let's talk about this because I've spent a lot of time analyzing George Lucas, right? And so George Lucas is a very awkward, introverted person, and he doesn't like talking to people. He doesn't like being around people. And so directing a movie for someone like that is really hard. And ultimately his solution to that was to kind of one-on-one work with an actor on a green screen. And it makes a very bad movie because so you have Ewan McGregor, who's a great actor, acting against no one, and just on a green screen, acting to a tennis ball with George Lucas like whispering to him, like, "Oh, you're riding on a big lizard," and so it's like that's a really difficult way to get a good performance out of an actor.
I think that he has so many good ideas, and I think that George Lucas fails to understand you can't be the best at everything.
Yeah.
He's an idea guy. He's not the best of directors, and that's okay. Like, I think that he maybe just has a bit of hubris because of his success.
It could be. I mean, he had a lot of success.
He did. He's very rich.
It's one of those things. Like, there's people like that, right? Where they're right about a lot of things. And so at some point, they stop believing they can be wrong. Kanye West, people like that. Like, there's people
Kanye West, J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Like, people who did some good shit and then just went off the deep end.
Yeah, they're like, people used to naysay me, and then look at all the great stuff I've done. I'm always right.
Yeah, exactly.
and that's once you self-doubt is crippling, but you need a little bit.
Yeah. Well, honestly, that's why you need your buddies that you've known since before you were big and famous.
That can tell you.
Yeah. Like you have like people like Snoop Dogg still have his old school homies that he plays basketball with, and they will keep him real.
So do you feel like Coppola and Spielberg should have at some point leaned in on George Lucas to be like, this movie sucks?
I don't even think he would respect what they have to say. He needs actually like one of his high school bros or a college buddy, like his old college roommate, to be like, "Hey George, this is balls. You need to change some shit."
God, what was his first wife, Marsha Lucas?
I don't know.
I don't know his second wife, but I think his first wife steered him better.
She was keeping it real.
I think that was, he needed that wife to be like, that's a bad idea.
But it's not all partners are the best at that, because we remember The Last Unicorn, edited by his wife, right? And she left the tacos in.
Have a taco was the big takeaway.
Yeah, sometimes you need. Sometimes your partner is too nice.
That's true. You need a partner that
so like
brings you back down.
If you ever get real big and famous, I'll keep you real, and vice versa.
All right, that's our commitment.
So how do you feel about the future of Kenobi?
Especially like having watched the episodes twice. This show is just like playing my nostalgia fiddle like crazy. I'm so, I wish I had my own word. I wish my own words were better, but I'm going to borrow from the IGN review I read, and it said somehow a completely unnecessary prequel feels vital and thrilling. And that's what I feel. It's like you don't need this to exist, but somehow it's like my favorite Star Wars thing I've seen in a very long time.
So I am also going to quote somebody, but it's myself from my notes.
Okay.
This episode is trash. A kid running away, That's some goose chase bullshit. I hope these improve. There's a glimmer of possibility, but I'm not sold.
Okay.
I will watch the next one. And I was talking to Carrie about this because she was kind of giving me the I don't want to watch any more of these. Mm-hmm. And I kind of am sold on the idea of, I don't think Mandalorian season 1 actually heated up until after 2 or 3 episodes, maybe even 4.
The Mando formula is the middle episode is where things kick into gear.
And so I think that 3, if 3 is bad, I won't watch anymore.
You won't finish it.
If 3 is decent, I'll watch 4 and probably finish it because I think it probably will heat up. Mm-hmm. But at this point, there's too much of Baby Leia, and I just think it's just like, it's just cheesy. I don't need that in my life. Mm-hmm. I want more Inquisitor Reva. I want more Obi-Wan Kenobi. I want more Flea. I want more Huckster fake Jedi. Yeah. I want more of that. I don't want any more plucky kid and her ladybug droid.
So what is it about? Because I've never heard you down on Grogu. So what is it about real kid versus puppet kid? Because I prefer real kid to puppet kid.
I also think Grogu is a MacGuffin. I don't think he's a real. I don't think that's a really good arc either, except for the impact that he has on Mando because of his oath to take in. Because he himself is a Mandalorian foundling, and so is Grogu.
Yeah,
and so I think. I don't know. Somehow they do it better in Mando. Like, it's not so much focus on him because he's nonverbal.
Yeah.
It makes it to where it's mostly about Mando.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't have that same takeaway, but I get what you're saying. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, plucky little kid with the ladybug droid is definitely kids' content. But Reva stabbing the High Inquisitor and telling Obi-Wan about Anakin Skywalker, that's adult content. Give me more of that.
You want more adult content. Yeah. So I think that's your big takeaway is you want grown-up Star Wars, not just family Star Wars.
Yeah, I want these side series to be like cool and oriented toward like the grim reality that it's trying to represent. You don't need to manufacture moments of cuteness for no purpose at all.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we're not going to star rate this because we only have 2 episodes and we don't have the full picture yet. Yeah,
I think maybe we'll come back. We'll circle back around after episode 6. Probably not devote a whole episode to it.
Yeah, but we'll
just a little bit of a chat about it and all that. So let's take a little break and then we'll come back with our closing segment.
All right, welcome back, divers. Let's get into that final segment, the one where I ask Dave, what are you into right now?
All right, well, I've been pretty busy lately, but I have made a little time, and I've been doing the audiobooks pretty hardcore while I finish things up. So I just wanted to tell you guys about the one I most recently finished.
All right.
So having finished Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive up to the current book, it's not a finished series yet, but he writes pretty fast. I decided I'm going to stay in the Cosmere, which is Brandon Sanderson's linked universe. It's like a plane with multiple planets and things, and there are some really powerful characters that cross series and different things. So it is a singular Sanderson fantasy universe called the Cosmere. I decided I would stay in the Cosmere and I would grab Mistborn. And I got through the first Mistborn book.
And I feel like this diver Lisa, distinct from wife Lisa, was talking to me about this because her kid wanted to read it or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is family appropriate.
Pretty Pretty much. I mean, there are some heavy moments of despair. Like there's some, the hero loses all hope and bad,
hero's journey stuff.
They lose their Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
They have a lot of that. There's some violent moments, like people get beat up and people get, they fight and get stabbed with a sword or whatever. So, there's that kind of thing. If you're okay with that kind of thing, there's no like, it's not like a George R. Martin book, There's no sister fucking and baby killing.
It's weird how desensitized we've become because that's pretty far out.
Yeah.
Right. But Martin goes there on everything. Like, it's like those books have content that no one was requesting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I listened to the first book called The Final Empire, and I'm into the second book, The Well of Ascension, and I gotta say that first book was damn good. It's about a kid who's a thief she's a young girl named Vin, and she's part of a thieving crew, and they're doing this stuff, and she gets caught up with some other people who are more powerful, and you learn about the magic system, and she has latent magical abilities, hero's journey thing. She has some special powers.
So is it a fantasy or sci-fi?
Oh, it's fully fantasy.
Okay.
Like it's magic, but it's its own kind of magic. It's called allomancy, like alloys of metals.
Okay.
So they ingest these little vials that have little bits of metal in it, like powdered metal shavings, and then different metals they can burn to do different things, have different powers, like enhance senses, enhance like physical strength, all sorts of different things. There's like 10 of them. There are more later on in the series, the lost metals. Anyway, but it's pretty cool. It's a fun, interesting magic system that's very logical. Sanderson is well known for having written like the Sanderson's laws of magic. So if you're creating a magic system, he has all these guidelines. Like it has to be internally consistent. You have to stay with it. And anyway, if you're not into the nuts and bolts of fantasy like that, it doesn't actually matter because it's just a good story. And it's about, plucky rebels fighting against a big bad empire. It's called The Final Empire. They're fighting against the Lord Ruler, who's basically like a kind of an Emperor Palpatine sort of a figure. It's very, very good. It uses the kind of the Ocean's 11 heist plot archetype where you gather the team that can do all the different things, and you go and you do, it's fun. It's cool. There are some fun, like hard surprises in there, but ultimately it's just extremely satisfying. So I recommend the first book of the Mistborn series, The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, to anybody. If you just want like a really good, fun sci-fi series with characters you can just like. Bad guys you can hate and good guys you can like.
Cool. And so remind me, because you've talked about Sanderson before, and he completed something that somebody...
The Wheel of Time.
Okay, so he completed the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, Robert Jordan died, and Sanderson finished the Wheel of Time from his manuscripts and whatnot, and he's also a consultant on the Wheel of Time TV show.
Gotcha.
They hired him on because he's kind of the expert at this point. He's the shepherd of the series, and so he himself is a very prolific author. He's like the opposite of a George Martin. He puts out. So I told the divers and you about. He launched a Kickstarter because during COVID, he got his nervousness and tension and stuff out by just grinding writing and work. He wrote 4 novels over the last 2 years, and he's self-published releasing them. It's the highest grossing Kickstarter of all time.
Wow.
Like of any genre is Sanderson's novels. I backed it, so I'll get all 4 of them in audio and PDF. So
that is really interesting. Like I really respect that and I admire it. I'm sure I'm much more of a Martin type personality where I don't know what to write, and so I'm just not going to write at all, and I don't have any incentive because I'm stinking rich, and so so it's like, why finish The Winds of Winter, because I just not feeling it. So a Sanderson who just like has that work ethic is like, I sit up and I write 8 hours a day.
And there are two types. They call them plotters and gardeners. And he's a plotter. He makes diagrams for everything, and he has full plot maps and character development plot maps and all of that, and he inserts it all in like flow charts, and then he just writes and uses his diagrams and flow charts as the guide to writing. And then from there, within the things that he's created, he can freestyle a bit here and there, but Martin doesn't do any of that. It's all freestyle.
And it's like that style of writing, it gives you all sorts of great unexpected things. And Martin, you can always tell like when he's excited because he's chasing the rabbit, kind of like he's going down every, like following the string, to mix my metaphors, and he's just kind of like following the muse. And then the muse leaves him, and he's like, I don't know.
Well, you meet these weird characters in Martin's books that you want to know more about, but then you never get more because he just wrote those details on a whim. They didn't actually lead anywhere. Like Lord Blackwood with his raven feather cloak, and you're like, oh, that sounds really cool.
Who is that guy?
Like, who is he? He has a cool name. He has a cool cloak. When he interacts with people, he seems really rad. I want a Lord Blackwood novella that talks about his life and times, but you never get any of that.
Crazy.
So anyway, Brandon Sanderson is my fantasy author. Like, he's a champ because he writes so much. You can hardly run out of material. And his multiple series that he continues on, like he's currently in the middle of multiple. He even has like some YA kids series that he's writing right now, and they're really cool, like sci-fi stuff.
Wow, that's very impressive. People that can do that.
Yeah, he's the best fantasy author in the game right now. I mean, I love Martin. I love his work, but is he even a writer anymore? He just is a TV producer. I mean, all right. So how about you? What are you into right now?
Well, because we had an unusually long space. So this slot has changed a few times as we've gone along, because I try to keep it literally what I'm into
right now.
Right now. And ultimately, the thing I'm into right now that just it consumes me unhealthily, and I have to force myself to take breaks. And that's a little game I like to call Grand Theft Auto Night City. Oh. You might know it as Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh man, I've done my time in Night City.
And I can't even say, so it's an action role-playing game. Came out in 2020. It's set in the Cyberpunk universe and is developed by CD Projekt Red. I can't even say necessarily that I like playing it, but I lose days to it. Like,
it's really good.
Yeah, it's like, because it's just got it's a very deep game with lots of
side quests and stuff.
Lots of side quests, and I'm really, at this point, I've only been doing side quests for a long time.
Sure. Have you finished it yet?
No. Oh, not even close. So the last story mission I did was when you go with Pan Am to drop the convoy and get what's his name, the developer guy that you have to kidnap.
Oh, okay. You should keep I've played the story to completion through 2 different backgrounds and 2 completely different builds.
Oh, really?
I was totally obsessed with it. Did almost all the side quests. Anyway, play through it. The story missions, don't shy away from them. Do them all until you get to the point where it gives you the prompt, this is the point of no return. And then stop.
And then stop.
And then just do everything else until you're feeling done with it, and then go through the point of no return.
Oh, interesting.
It gives you a prompt for that.
So my role-playing game tactic, usually when I'm playing one of these games, is to just completely ignore the story missions and just follow the goose and just do the side stuff.
So are you playing like as a nomad?
No. So I did Street Kid.
Okay.
I really waffled between Nomad and Street Kid, which one I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I did Street Kid, and ultimately the thing that won out was there's more unique dialogue options for Street Kid than there is for Nomad. So I felt like I could I could get more personal with the character.
Except if you are if you are a Nomad, you get the full suite of dialogue with Pan Am.
Oh,
because
you know
she's
her.
a Nomad.
And so this ended up being the surprise because I'm playing a female character, and I would have done a male character because I'd rather have the romance line with Pan Am than with Judy.
Mm-hmm, yeah, because the side characters are their sexuality is fixed. So if you are a female character, there are characters who will only romance a female character. If you're a male, there are only characters who will only romance a male character.
Yeah, so I could see the point of playing it through.
And there are gay
times.
and straight relationships for both options, and there's no non-binary option.
It's a deep game, and so so this is why I think the fact that you have so much to say about it and multiple opinions is why, like, say it's all I've done for the last 2 days.
Dude, it's so good. I've been waiting for a DLC so I can go back and play it again from the beginning.
So that's what I was gonna say. So there was just the 1.5 patch came out in February, and you were an early adopter.
Yeah.
Since I'm new to this, I missed the whole glitchy, this game's broken phase of things.
So I didn't have that either because I had a PS5 from the beginning.
Yeah.
It was only PS4 people and PC players that were having a problem.
Okay.
The PS5 was able to handle it.
So I haven't had any of those problems either, but I'm also playing on a PS5. And the expansion is coming next year.
And
it's kind of leaked. A lot of the details from it have leaked, and it seems like people are pretty stoked about it. I'm kind of trying to ignore that stuff and not learn too much about it. Spoiler wise,
I'm not gonna learn anything of it. And then when it comes out, I'll buy it and I'll probably play.
You'll play it again
400 or 500 hours.
Yeah. So I'm gonna work really hard to not play this game today. When we get done with here, I'm going to do other things because I don't sleep good. When I close,
you got to go to the gym or something. If you're gonna waste time on a video game, you got to
counter it.
You got to earn it. Like that's the mentality I think you got to have.
Yeah, because I close my eyes and I'm like quick hacking people. Like what?
Oh yeah, I love doing.
When I close my eyes, I see the little pinged people on the map and all of that stuff, and it's like, this isn't healthy. And then like I'll sleep like a full 8 hours, but I'll dream Cyberpunk. Mm-hmm. And so I wake up feeling exhausted.
There have only been 3 games in my life that got me to that point. And it was Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
And I think you were Red Dead as well on that list.
Yeah, Red Dead didn't get you. Red Dead got me big time. But Red Dead didn't like fuck up my life like Red Dead.
I really actually
because I played Red Dead during lockdown, so Red Dead was my life.
Okay, yeah, I really liked Red Dead until it became totally on rails with no options. But I guess the thing is Cyberpunk gets to that point too when you get to the point of no return. And
I kind of thought that even already, like the main plot, you don't have a whole lot of ability to steer it.
No, not really. I mean,
and this is where I'll give it a little criticism. It takes Red Dead a long time before you have tuberculosis and your character is doomed. Mm-hmm. Your character in Cyberpunk is doomed very early.
Yeah.
And so it's like
Johnny Silverhand and everything.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, oh man, we're already getting to the heavy stuff, like because I kind of tongue in cheek compare it to the Grand Theft Auto games. I feel like the Grand Theft Auto games are fun for a lot longer before the tragedy hits you. Whereas Cyberpunk, they smack you with the tragedy very early on in the main storyline. Mm-hmm. So
I still really liked it.
It's good. It's a good game, and I don't think it couldn't rule your life if it wasn't a good game. That's kind of the mark of.
So what's your build like? What do you do? What's your character?
I wanted to do
hacking, sniping.
More sniping, but I'm kind of only just getting to the point where I'm as sneaky as I'd like to be.
Okay.
It's like a
Skyrim style stealth sniper.
Yeah, it's more the stealth gunslinger.
Okay.
And I like smart weapons.
Of course, yeah. They shoot around corners and stuff.
It's just too cool, and it's like I wanted to be more of a stealth sniper, but you don't really get any cool sniping one shot sort of gear until deep into it, and so it's just not functional. So I'm much more Assassin's Creed style, like sneak up close and gack people and throw them in dumpsters.
Yeah, I was really, my favorite build was hybrid hacker. So I was doing all the computer stuff, so I would hack people and cause the crazy virus stuff all on them and everything. Combine that with a katana build. And it's just gnarly. Sneak up and just slice people down with big crits. It was pretty fun.
And you can count one shot them with the sword.
Oh yeah, easily.
All right, I should do more of that.
You just gotta like upgrade your weapon, get the good ones, and then upgrade them with the component parts. You just disassemble everything, and then upgrade all your stuff. So your weapon is just godlike.
Yeah, hopefully we haven't lost everyone that doesn't play this game. But yeah, this is all good stuff.
Yeah, it's a fun game, divers. If you bought the negative hype that Cyberpunk was a broken, shitty game, it's not.
Yeah.
It's good.
All right. Well, I think all that's left is the call to action.
Subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher, as well as YouTube, Spotify, and Audible. Don't forget to leave us a review. A 5-star review costs you nothing, but means everything to us.
Have I ever thanked Diver Ted and Diver Lance for their reviews?
I don't know, but you should.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. It means a lot. When I go
means
back,
everything to us.
It means everything to us. And literally that reviewing us, especially like on Apple and Spotify, that boosts us in the algorithm. Or if you watch the YouTube videos and let them play all the way to the end.
We get several YouTube listens every time we drop an episode. So if you just click the like button, that helps. Like,
subscribe, and let it. I know this is hard. I'm a terrible person at stopping once you get to almost the end and then going and looking for another video. For the algorithm to give us the little push, the video needs to play all the way.
And our
through.
Outro song is 30 seconds. You can handle that.
Yeah, please listen to the whole song. Thank you, Barrowlands, for donating your music. Anyways, you can find us on all social media platforms across the metaverse as @DeepDiveTheMeta. We are on Twitter, which Dave prefers. We're on Instagram, which I like, but we're still on Pinterest, even though I don't update it, which nobody likes.
Yes. Well, I guess this is really goodbye.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.